Please consider liking the video and subscribing. Let's begin. We all love cartoon shows. There's just something special about them. The characters, the story, and just the feeling of them. We can all sit here and debate which decade or era had the best cartoon shows. For me personally, I grew up watching from the late 2005 era from about 2015. I'm a Cartoon Network kid, and I can say this, they don't make them like how they used to before. Also, I want to know, what era are you from and what channel did you like? But this video isn't about which era or this or that, but the fact that the sad reality is that all things come to an end, and cartoon shows and kid shows are no exception. In this video, I want to go over some of the saddest cartoon show endings, in no particular order. So, grab your tissue and let's reminisce on some of the best animated shows to exist. Now, the first one I wanted to talk about is one before my time, Dinosaurs. As many of you know, had an ending that made you say, what the? If you're not aware, let me give you a quick synopsis. In the series finale titled Changing Nature, which is very fitting for the episode, basically I want to say that dinosaurs is a symbolism for real life. This episode was meant to be darker because the dinosaurs are like humans. We hurt the planet by polluting it, putting important animals on the verge of extinction, and in this episode was kind of like a scare to the grim reality that we can all one day wake up to. This episode focuses on climate change. The company that Earl works for killed all of the bunch beetles because they could ruin the company's production of wax fruits. As the episode continues, we find out that the bunch beetles were very important in the ecosystem, and by them being all gone, that kinda turns into a big problem because without them, then plants in the show called cedar poppies would not be able to grow. As we say so, the evil company that killed the bunch beetles finds a way to combat this by spraying chemicals all through Pangea, but this then kills all of the plants. In one of the final scenes in this episode, Earl regrets and is very apologetic that the company that he worked for would do something horrible like this. Baby then asks if they're going to move somewhere else to avoid all this, but Earl sadly explains that there's no other place they could move. Earl looks around at his family, unsure of the future, but gives a sense of hope, saying that dinosaurs have been around for over 150 million years. They will find a way. The looks that they give each other are really sad. The heavy snow continues to fall as the TV news anchor states that they are in for a long, dark, extremely cold winter. He signs off and says goodbye to the viewers. When I first saw this ending, I was like, what the heck? I think it was like on a Watch Mojo video or something. Then I actually went to go watch the episode. It's on YouTube, by the way. And I was like, oh my god, like, this is dark. But as I got older, I became to appreciate it, and I kind of like it. The fact that one day this might be like the human race is a little scary. If we continue to mistreat the earth, and man, like, how is this going to look in about 50 years from now? Who knows? Let me know down below what you thought of this one.
And taking a look at the long-range forecast, continued snow, darkness, and extreme cold. This is Howard Hand Up Me. Good night. Goodbye.
Now, a show that I can in fact remember where I was watching the last episode, it's Regular Show. A very good show with great characters and episodes and just all around good laughs. Had an ending that some people initially didn't like. In the series finale titled A Regular Final Battle, it picks up from a timeline reset from the first episode, but sadly, at the episode's climax, Pops sacrifices himself to end the long-time battle between him and Anti-Pops. They fly into the sun and it kills both of them. Back at the park, a statue is built in memorial for Pops and his sacrifices. We then jump 6 years into the future. Mordecai and Rigby eventually quit the job at the park and move on. First, Mordecai becomes a very successful artist and marries a bat and ends up having children. Rigby ends up getting married with Eileen and has 2 daughters. A 25-year park party reunion is thrown, and we see all of our favorite characters reunite together with their families and their wives. Mordecai and Rigby are now older, and they reminisce about Pops and all of their old adventures. This episode ends with Pops in heaven watching everything we have just seen through a VHS tape labeled Regular Show. This whole time we were watching the show through the VHS. This episode was heartbreaking because first we lost Pops, a jolly, kind character who a lot of people liked, but the real kick was that we saw Mordecai and Rigby and everyone else move on and get older. In my opinion, at first I didn't like this finale, but once again I got older and realized that it was a good send-off. Yes, everyone moved on with their lives, and that's sad, but the fact that they can live at peace because of Pop's sacrifice is also very heartwarming. What did you think of the Regular Show finale? Moving on, we have Gravity Falls, a show that I recently rewatched, and man, am I glad I did. I really liked this show, even when I was younger and it was first airing. The animation, the characters, the adventures, everything was so well done. What I like about Gravity Falls is that at times it can be really silly, and at times it can be really deep. But the final trilogy, Weirdmageddon, was amazing and also very tear-jerking. So let's talk about Weirdmageddon 3, Take Back the Falls. In this series finale, the heroes fight off against Bill and his evil intergalactic beings. Through many tricks and surprises, they defeat him, as he ends up being erased from existence in Stan's mind due to the memory gun, chanting that one day he will return. As the heroes gather in the Mystery Shack, at first it would seem that Stan has lost all of his memory of the events of the show. He doesn't remember all of the adventures and good times he spent with his great niece and nephew. But eventually, they jog his memory and give us, the viewers, one less thing to cry about. As we reach the episode's conclusion, we see Dipper and Mabel's rooms now empty. Wendy gives Dipper her hat, and he gives her his so that they can have something to look back on. Grunkle Stan declares that the Mystery Shack will shut down so that he can go on adventures with his brother. He hands the reins over to Seuss. The final bus comes for Dipper and Mabel. They step on it, and it drives away. We see various creatures wave goodbye. They both fall asleep as they arrive to California. The end. This ending is really sad because it's just a big farewell. All the characters that we grew to love over the years, I'm really happy with it. Now, some have speculated that with a new book releasing this summer titled The Book of Bill, that this could lead into a sequel series. Now, this is all just speculation, and while some of it does make sense, I'm not sure that they would do that, because Gravity Falls ended at a very high note. I'm not against the sequel series. If it's good, then hey, I'm all for it, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Nonetheless, Gravity Falls series finale neatly tied up most loose ends and tugged at the heartstrings. Adventure Time, another very good show that aired for a long time, had its series finale, Come Along With Me, to many considered a great ending for the show, and I agree. I once again saw this one live. I had too many years invested into this show, and it did not disappoint. What hit hard was accepting that both Finn and Jake died, and that BMO, being a computer, lived on for a very long time, telling the tale to two other friends and travelers, Shermie and Beth, who are the next generation of Finn and Jake. But for a while, the fans wondered, well, what actually ended up happening to Finn and Jake? Well, a couple years later, a special event series titled Adventure Time: Distant Lands released, and Together Again showed us the fate of our beloved heroes. We see that Jake has passed away, and Finn was deeply affected by it. Finn finds himself in a hallucination where he goes on a classic adventure saving princesses from Ice King. But Finn wakes up from this hallucination and realizes that he's in fact also passed away. Now in the afterlife, he finds himself in the land of the dead. Instead of being sad, he's happy because he can now reunite with Jake, who's at the pinnacle of death, at true peace. After a very long, good episode, they reunite, and at first, Finn agrees to be reincarnated, and Jake wishes to stay in Death World. But at the last second, he joins Finn. We don't know what they got reincarnated as, but we do know that Finn and Jake are together again. I know this isn't technically the series finale, but it's the ending to both of these beloved characters. We see that not even in death could they be separated. They truly are brothers, and as far as this finale showed us, they will stay as brothers. Now, this next one isn't a kids show, but still a cartoon, a very good cartoon animated show. It's BoJack Horseman, a show that will really mess with your mind and at times make you think about life. Nice while it lasted, it was a very good and a little somber. We see that BoJack has been released from prison for one day only to go to Princess Caroline's wedding. This gives him the opportunity to say goodbye to everyone. Perhaps the saddest one is the one he gives to Diane. On the roof, as these two sit there in silence, they had their differences, but in the end, they still care about each other. The relationship that these two shared was a very true bond. She explains to him that they may never see each other again as she's moving away to Houston. This part of the finale, in my opinion, is the saddest because it shows how BoJack must let go of the past and the people he's known and go into the unknown future. But there is a debate when it comes to the BoJack Horseman show overall. Some think that he should have died in the end, and that this episode could have served as like a funeral service for him, a way for other characters to remember him by. When I first saw the finale to BoJack, I agreed with this point because I think that if he would have died, it would have perfectly represented what this show is. It could have died into him either going to heaven or hell. Personally, me, even though BoJack did some questionable things throughout the show, deep down, I don't believe he is a bad person. I would have loved to see him step through the gates and into the light. But if you prefer him staying alive, which like I said, I don't mind that. I like BoJack, then I respect that. Let me know down below what ending of any show had you sad and feeling bittersweet. Either way, one from this video or one from your own personal life. Also, I want to say thank you so much for the amazing support of my channel. It means a lot to me. I can't believe that we are approaching 700 subscribers. Oh my god. Thank you so much. Please consider liking the video and subscribing. Please take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.